Hello again, and thanks for following over. The very fact you're here suggests to me some part of your life may not be going exactly the way you'd like it to. When I reflect on what's common to all the people I work with, I find that each and every one of them is experiencing some sort of disparity. A disparity between the life they want and the one they're currently living. The actual circumstances are not the desired ones. There's a gap. There's a gap between those positions, and the bigger the gap, then generally the greater the problem. Some who come have found themselves looking across a very wide chasm. Unfortunately, many of these individuals are caught in what I rudely call a full-blown shitstorm. They feel they're on the verge of a breakdown, and many are indeed experiencing some sort of major life crisis. For others who engage with me, the gap is less obvious. They appear, at least from a distance, to be sailing along smoothly, and yet despite their outward show of competence, deep down they're feeling dissatisfied and unfulfilled. Their big concern is that if somebody could see into them, they'd be found out. They fear, if seen through, they'd be revealed as being nothing more than the proverbial hole in the donut. There are lots of people out there experiencing this type of angst and lack of self-confidence. It's sometimes labelled as imposter syndrome. And those who seek help are the prudent ones. They know if action isn't taken, the gap is more likely to widen than it is to ever close of its own accord. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. So wrote John Milton in his epic Paradise Lost. Our state of mind, which includes not just thoughts, but also feelings, instincts, and emotions, dictates our lived experience. So I'm sure you will agree with me when I say that mind can be as equally destructive as it can be creative. Here's a simple model that illustrates the range of moods available to us. The more favourable ones in green, the less welcome ones in red. The elevator represents the transient nature of our moods and reflects the ever-present potential for movement. We've all had our moments in the green zone, and we've all had our moments in the red zone. That's life. The effects of spending time in either zone is equal, insofar as both tend to be progressive and culminative. But no one wants to descend too deeply into the red zone, nor is it advised to delay there too long. Sure, there are benefits for deadlines and for the accompanying stress that inevitably comes with them. Stress does help motivate us to get things done in the short term. But over time, unless appropriate remedial measures have been put in place, stress becomes distress and eventually culminates in burnout. The more time spent in the green zone, the greater the tendency for more and higher quality positive experiences. The more time in the red, the greater the tendency will be for problems to pile up and for emotional states and moods to get progressively worse. So, allow me to ask you a dumb question. What do you want more of, red or green? I'm sure you've chosen green, for to choose red, as Mr. Milton suggests, is to choose hell. That, I'll contend, is self-evident. But what's not so clear to us when we're deeply distressed is our diminished ability to connect with others. The ensuing distancing and withdrawal from others at work, others in community, from friends, and eventually from our nearest and dearest too. So let's explore the ecology of the red zone further, and the lower levels in particular. Let's face it, when we're severely distressed, it's like driving with a fuel tank running close on empty. Our energy levels and our capacity to address life's challenges are significantly diminished, and this contributes to even more frustration and greater anxiety. The downward vicious cycle continues, and the individual is left constantly feeling tired and with less and less to give. As with all mood states, the ripples spread out, eventually touching all those around us, impacting upon almost every aspect of our lives. As a mind and mood mentor, my role is to support you in addressing your challenges and difficulties. I do this at several different levels and in many different ways, with a broad repertoire of techniques. During our consultations, I explore and unpick what I call the externals. What's happening, why it's happening, and address those how the heck did it come to this type questions. We will also look at the internals, including your habitual thinking patterns, default mood settings, and overall mindset position. To regain control of your life, both the internals and externals need to be addressed, for each influences and acts upon the other. If you're worried about your state of mind, if you're concerned about how it's impacting on your life, or indeed on the lives of others, then hang around. I'm hoping that by now you're beginning to realise that you are in the right place. All of us, when we're in the red zone, when we're emotionally aroused, whether we're stressed, frustrated, angry, anxious, or just plain tired, have less capacity to think straight. Critical cognitive function is diminished. Cortisol and other stress hormones have been released into the bloodstream by an anciently encoded program to prepare us for fight or flight. Deliberative and nuanced thinking is temporarily suspended and substituted with the less sophisticated black or white binary choice system, delivering an all or nothing mindset, where everything is either good or bad, right or wrong, and where everyone is seen as either friend or foe, with me or against me. In other words, you've been emotionally hijacked. The rational mind has been taken hostage by intense emotion. Before we move on, I want to point to something here that may not be entirely obvious. It's something counterintuitive. Depressed people, though outwardly appearing slow and lethargic, are in fact internally highly emotionally aroused too. So what happens in these circumstances? In the first instance, I will work with you to lessen the level of your emotional arousal. I will make sure that your mind has been calmed. When your emotional arousal has abated, then I will help you access more reasoned positions. From there you can view your situations or challenges in a more objective and rational way. Then and only then can we fruitfully begin to explore potential solutions. As the seesaw comes back into balance, homeostasis of mind is restored. Along with it comes renewed potential for clearer thinking. You'll now have access to higher levels of discernment. You'll now be able to take more nuanced positions and disentangle yourself and get some distance from the strong emotional positions that previously held you down and held you back. You will be able to drop previous bias and see the bigger picture. Here's the thing. We all function best when the rational mind and the emotional mind are in balance. If one dominates the other, then we can only function with impaired capacity. So, why choose to work with me? I have a lifetime's experience behind me, with all the ups and downs that go with that. In truth, a considerable part of my life too has been lived out of the red zone. I probably ended up doing what I do because I was for quite a long time on my own quest for inner peace. And thankfully, I now substantially live most of my life in the green zone. I have formal qualifications in coaching, training and education and counselling and therapy, with 25 years experience overall working with others in a transformative way as either a coach, an educator or a therapist. The skill sets I bring to my work are an amalgam of those learnt both in the classroom and others beaten out on the anvil of experience. What do I do and how do I do it? The short answer is I connect. I connect with my clients in a deep, respectful and meaningful way. And having established that connection and rapport, I educate. I facilitate self-understanding, thereby liberating people from their turmoil. I help them see things more clearly, to learn to better handle situations which previously challenged or even baffled. To open doors for themselves, leading to more possibilities and opportunities for a contented and satisfying life. So, as we come almost to an end, my hope is that by now my explanations for why we ought to work towards a balanced mind and how a balanced mind in turn helps us control the mood elevator, that they're all clear. And also, by now the services I offer are better understood. If you feel you'd like to know more about how I can help you bridge the gap between the life you're living and the life you'd prefer to live, then act now and book your free 20-minute icebreaker call. Then we can chat more about what you'd like to have happen, what you'd like to have happen next. So I look forward to connecting with some of you guys sometime soon. We can do that either face to face, on the phone or over Zoom. If you're up for it, we can do some walk and talk sessions here in the west of Ireland or even from my holiday home in southern Spain.